it started as a dream.
We make it move.
The world capital of animation.
Ya Allah!
Ya Allah! Ya Allah! 3D world.
The message is to produce children animated cartoon videotapes that take stories from Islamic history, Islamic religion as the basis for our products and make them entertaining to the children. Yet it carries these good morals, good family values.
We're using the books as reference to architectural styles, patterns and designs from that time period and that culture. For myself, I'm not that familiar with the culture, so the books are extremely helpful for me and the other people that are doing a lot of the designs for the backgrounds and props and things like that. These here are some of the ones from the opening scene where we start to move into the city. We're still in those initial stages of trying to figure out the basic elements and how they relate to the script.
We are producing these videotapes from this part of the world. Animators that have worked in major studios. The pool of talent that you can find.
I'm working on the storyboards for the commercials. The theme is family, and the father is trying to get the family to watch stuff that's better for their minds.
I'm tracing back, trying to make sure that the lines are clean from the animator's rough.
After the storyboard is created and after the sound has been recorded, now it's time to time each segment, each scene.
Enough, you're breaking my heart.
For instance, if someone is jumping, he needs to know how long the jump is going to take.
This is so sad.
And then based on that, the whole movie is kind of predetermined how long it's going to be.
These are backgrounds. They're drawn in pencil and then they're scanned into the computer. This becomes a very sophisticated coloring crayon box, if you will. We fill in the areas, and there are various tools that we have. There's pencils to airbrush, magic markers, or even crayons.
Backgrounds are drawn like this in a line, and then a lot of times what we do for a big scene, we'll do studies, which kind of shows us what kind of a mood we want to do. Do we want a nice warm mood, or do we want sunset? We look at them and we see what parts of them we like. Sometimes we like a sky from one, mountains from another. The studies are real simple, and then the final we go in and do details.
We take the final background that we all agreed on, the approved one, and we show it on the TV monitor. Then we try with the characters, because the characters have fixed colors, so we need them to fit with the background. This is a very dark indoor background, which is the villain's house. This guy here looks very, very bright, so we try and tone him down with a color overlay, apply some filters on him. This way the characters can fit to the background.
We hear composite for the film. We start with the exposure sheet that has structure for the whole scene, and we transfer it to electronic exposure sheet. We composite the background first, then we start to add more layers. Then we're gonna add the weavers. Then we make it move. We can add sound to our characters.
Allah speaks the truth. Allah speaks the truth. May
Allah
Allah
to be
bless you,
salam.
salam.
We put extra effort into synchronization of the mouths so that it becomes a master copy for that particular culture without having to produce it in one language and then dub it or translate it into the other language.
May Allah bless you, Salam. How can I thank you enough?
Each language that has to record, they have to make sure that they record with the same feeling, with the same acting, so that when we put the sound on the animation, it works.
Mahmoud, stop!
The images are generated again for that language. It's almost like the animation was redone for that language.
بارك الله فيك يا سلام. كيف أرد لك جميلك؟
The people of that language, when they see it, they know it's made for them, special for them.
Allah senden razı olsun Salam.
If there's any certain culture that would have some reservations about some of the terms or things we do have different versions for them.
They decided to use 3D so we could have an impression of death. This is the courthouse scene. Salam and his friends are entering the courthouse to go see the judge. We can have a very smooth camera movement to give the impression that we really move in a 3D world, still using some two-dimensional painting and textures. I integrated both so we get the cartoony look, but we really feel like we're moving inside of a 3D scene.
Nabi, stop! Throw me with all your power in this direction. Salam, I have some great news for you.
Please come up with a voice for Salam. He's a 10-year-old boy. He's a good boy, courageous. If you can please try and give me a voice for this little kid.
They're going to fall into the sea.
Maybe something younger.
They're going to fall into the sea.
Maybe just something in between these two.
They're going to fall into the sea.
Very good. Okay, now the scene that we have is Salam is chasing this little baby. She's about to fall into the sea. And as she's approaching the cliff, Salam gets very concerned. And he basically says, "Oh my God!
Ya Allah! They're going to fall into the sea!"
We all start out as babies, and then as days go by, we get a little older, and we're told we shouldn't cry. We go through school trying to be cool, and then we graduate. Some of us might be mommies, others work, or even date. As we grow old, we wonder, were we smart or just a fool? Now some of us are back to diapers again, and others even drool.
This image here we called up from the internet. We're using a downline in our next picture. The internet gives us the ability to be in constant contact with digital coloring companies, also other animation companies that we wish to subcontract with. We also need a poem in French. I was able to contact an association in France, and they've already sent us poems.
We're working on finalizing the character and on locking down the story and the storyboard so it can go into production and it can be animated. We're still in the designing phase of this character. It still needs to be modified a little bit more.
Basically what you see here is the checking process. It entails making sure all the characters are to model meaning the structure and proportions are correct and stay consistent throughout the scene. We make sure that the registration marks are there, that any attributes to the characters are there, such as headbands or buttons.
Since the introduction of Salam's journey, we found that many people that are not from the Islamic religion, we see them that they enjoy it.
We got to watch it with our 5 grandchildren at 3 different times. And it was a pleasure to sit down with the grandchildren and see something without violence, and our grandchildren dearly loved it.
It is different than what the cartoons and things that we have here.
Ya Allah, I don't know how, but I know you will look after me. This is what my father taught me, and I trust in you.
My son, he's only 3.5, and the first time he was introduced to it, he watched the tape about 4 or 5 times each day. They were calling each other Salam, Mahmoud, and I was really glad to see him that young and seeing a role model as Salam and imitating Salam.
There is a huge demand for animated videotapes. To have a successful business, you have to have a niche into the market. There is a need for, among a lot of the Muslims and non-Muslims, for specific value. There are around 1 billion people around the world which have this religion. The languages that we chose can reach almost like about 800 million people that are eager to teach their children about these stories.
Was there another line?
No.